welcome everyone to believe it or not, an awaited episode for the Lorepod podcast. I'm your guys' host, Dakota Morgan, coming in from Phoenix, Arizona, and today we're diving back. This is the first sequel episode on this podcast. For the Lorepod podcast, the first sequel episode, who would have thought? Loads of comments requesting this one on the YouTube page at least. Not on the on the review things, which, by the way, leave a review wherever you listen to the podcast. You can listen to us on the go as well on any podcast and streaming platform or lorepod.podbean.com. But besides that, Resistance 2. That's right, we're doing Resistance 2, everybody. We did the first game, and if you don't remember, Resistance is an old PlayStation game, which I played a little bit of. Got my ass handed to me loads of times in that game. And boy, absolutely terrifying of what happens if there was no World War II, but instead an alien virus / aliens were in Russia, took over, and then that virus was, well, virus in a way, because like they would use people and morph them in, using factories, morph them into alien human hybrid things that would be monster-esque, soldier units, giant ant monsters, like alien things. Wild. Their own technology and shit as well, turning them into their race. And it could be like 4 humans making a Crimea. That's right. The Crimea are back, everybody, for Resistance 2. Again, if you haven't listened to Resistance 1 episode, go back on the podcast or the YouTube channel where you're listening to this and be sure to listen. Now, let's dive into the lore, as we always do on the Lore Pod, into Resistance 2. I'm excited. This shit's fucking great. Little spoiler, before making this episode, I haven't played Resistance 2 or 3. Lies. I played a little bit of Resistance 3 when it came out after an E3 conference, which tells you how old I am. Yes. After E3 came out, I saw the trailer. I was like, this is great. And I did read the books. Wait for it. I bought a Resistance book, a book tie-in from, Borders. I have not said that name in a long damn time, but Borders. I went to the game section to get some Halo books, aka the Harvest one with Johnson. We should cover the book on the podcast, but went in there and did that. But I also got the Resistance book and did read it, and boy, oh boy, shit's wild. Shit is wild. I should actually look that book up. I should see if that's available for me. I digress. Resistance 2. So we are starting with a recap. We're actually going to be starting, I should make it clear here, we're going to be going through the whole story of the game in this episode. So if you haven't played the game before but you want to play it, here you go. Here's a little bit of some recap here so you know what the hell you're going to expect with my little twist, ladies and gentlemen. All right. And everyone in between. So the start of Resistance 2, the game starts. We do start with a recap of the Crimea takeover of Europe. If you remember right, the whole year thing. We're British, London, survivors, U.S. basically on its own at this point with South America, Canada, and shit like that. So we pick right up after the first game. Hale is the only survivor of 12,000 U.S. troops sent into the U.K. But of course, Hale is infected, but he hasn't turned yet, which is fascinating and adds why the fact he still survived against the Crimea. A U.S. chopper finds him, and troops rush out of there, swarm him, and inject him with a knockout drug. As anybody would. I would too, hell yeah. He does awake to find Major Richard Blake, the director of the Advanced Tactical Ops at SKPH. So this is where we get into a lot of stuff here. In case you didn't remember from the first game, alternate history shit, new government agencies and things, and technology kind of fast forward a little bit. So we skipped past Huey helicopters. We went to Huey Ospreys, which is cool as shit. Hale is then taken to Iceland, as one does, an Iceland research facility at the government agency. But it is already under attack by the Crimea, because they buried underground and then swarmed the UK, which is how they didn't even bother to cross the ocean. They just went underground and then went up. And during this time, the plane they are going in is down by a giant skulking Goliath. And after that, they do make their way towards the base. In case you don't remember right, the times in between when I say they make their way is usually when you as the player are shooting through waves of Crimea. A creature named Daedalus attacks him in the base, which is a large, hulking blob with a human face with tentacles all over the place. And he speaks, because why the hell not? Of course he's going to speak with his head and then telepathically. But as he attacks him, he does let them go. And after that, the group do take off on a plane to San Francisco, and because something really big is happening over there. But before that, Hale is knocked out yet again. 2 years later, Hale is still under the experimentation of Dr. Malikov, actually, who is a pretty cool doctor, by the way, might I add, in an underwater base outside of San Francisco. And the Crimea have started to attack this base, because, of course, why not? They're all over the damn place, constantly attacking. Now, in the first game, we were introduced to drone swarms, which was like little miniature creatures that travel in like 20 to 30 at a time, maybe more, and they basically eat things up like a fucking piranha swarm. No, we are introduced to an advanced version of that. And during this time, Hale and team does have to survive, including the Dr. Malikov, who does survive. The doc does join in the battle because he does grab a gun and actually goes and joins Hale in fighting and shooting. He's like, listen, I am an old man, but I will die if these things get me. And I've been studying them. I know what they get away with. And they are actually fighting a new type of species of Crimea, which is a Kraken, which is exactly what you expect of it. Alien tentacle monster thing in the water. But it does get away from them before it could be killed. They make their way to the surface of San Francisco, which is apocalypse now because huge skyscraper ships, about like 20 of them, are just floating above, shooting down, and raining troops upon the city. Basically, this is the invasion of mainland America. And boy, oh boy, did mainland America have a lot of weird shit that they were doing that in Resistance 3 we do find out about, which is the wall, the quarantine of different states, a whole thing. We'll get into Resistance 3 if you guys do want it. I mean, you wanted this episode. Fuck yeah. You all rock, by the way. So, Dr. Malikov and Hale do meet up for a team for evac. But Malikov asks a soldier if they were able to grab any viral inhibitors. And that soldier was able to say that they didn't, a.k.a. the thing that keeps Hale from fully turning into a Crimea hybrid monster thing-esque, which we find out a lot about in this story. Spoilers. So, what does that mean entirely? Well, in order to keep Hale from turning into another WMD, we need the Hale to go back down into the base here to go get what those viral inhibitors are, which is to help him keep this virus at bay. But doing so, we have a final big battle with the Kraken monster, and we do eventually, of course, kill it. Luckily, thankfully. But in the world of Resistance, you never know. Now, there was an evac, and those planes were able to take them to. They were pushed back, because clearly, with over like 20 giant skyscraper-sized ships, a.k.a. you're done for in the city, move on to another town. But they moved on to the California Redwoods up north, where we meet the Predator. And I'm not talking the subway one. I'm talking a bigger one than that. They were ambushed because, of course, you can't go anywhere in this damn world of Resistance without being ambushed. Case in point, they are ambushed by a whole new team here. They move through and have to actually travel on foot after getting their trucks destroyed. They do run into a large Crimea species with razor blade, like fingertip claw things that turn invisible and rip soldiers apart. Like it literally just grabs them, puts two hands in the middle there, and just go like that. And I swear it is terrifying. It is absolutely the Predator. And from what players have said, they kill you incredibly fast in this. And they have a little bit of dreadlocks to them as well, which is even more like, I see what you did there. And at this time, you could get away with it because it's back in the internet day where you could get away with a lot. AKA, Kevin Smith gets away with a lot of stuff in there referencing where you couldn't these days. Now, after destroying these different new species of Crimea, we run into a small town in order to get to a factory, which we're trying to get to in the Redwoods. But over this small town, we are actually encountering a supply ship of the Crimea hovering above. And, of course, we decide we need to blow that shit up and take it down, because any ship going down to Crimea is going to help you out. So what do? Well, we do an Halo 3 ODST, and we take a stolen Crimea shuttle to board the ship. Because why not? As one does. Well, take the Phantom, boys. All right. Then Hale, of course, gets to the bridge because they were actually going to use that shuttle that was full of C4 to blow it up. And that would do it. But Hale gets to the bridge, and Lords and Crimea plan to attack the U.S. defense at Twin Falls, Idaho. We have fallen back very far very fast. And you will see America does fall in this game very, very fast because Crimea was able to use the bodies of people and use living people as well to build up their troops and as well as scavenge cities and make technological advances, clearly with the ships. I mean, it's an alien virus / alien species thing. So Hale does use a stolen ship to get to Twin Falls, actually, with the Doctor and the team. But the Crimea, of course, shoot it down because you can't fly anywhere anymore. And they do realize, though, where they are located at here, they do need to restore an artillery tower to make sure the Crimea fleet does not arrive. They need to get any defense they can up and going. But that defense tower is down. So in this battle, though, around the defense tower, they are, of course, in a town. And what do they find? They find flesh egg sacs everywhere that are pulsating, like they are breathing because they're alive. And in those flesh egg sacs hatch new Crimea Rabid units. They don't have any tech on them yet. No cooling units attached to their bodies. None of that stuff. Nor weird alien-esque bodies. These are people who were made in the flesh sacs and just turned into Crimea right away, but they weren't taken by like their own kind to make into like, stable animals. Well, stable troops. Now, what does this show? Well, if you remember right in the first game, you were taken to a Crimea factory, which seemed like hell on earth. And you would be turned into the Crimea or morphed with other human being fleshes to morph into a giant Crimea thing. And you would do that only in the factory. Now, what this is showing is the Crimea can make new units without a factory at will. And they turn a whole town into this shit, making them even more of a dangerous threat. Hale reaches the tower and fights a massive crawler on all these legs here, and does able to take it down, because we have superpowers, and does get it taken online. So, of course, that artillery tower is shooting down ships, and it feels like a much-needed win for humanity. Reinforcements do arrive, thank God, because everyone keeps dying around Hale and the dock. Now, Hale and a new squad don't go back to the base, but they actually go to choose to find the Doctor who was kidnapped, Dr. Malikov here, because, of course, he has information on the United States and information on Crimea to help them win the damn war itself. And in order to do this, they track him down at Crimean base and, of course, just go right in and enter the base. Daedalus is there, of course, our giant tentacle hentai friend, and he connects telepathically to Hale, which, no, that's a bad thing happening, and warns them to leave the Crimean mountain base that they're in. Hale does ignore, but they are swarmed by those mini piranha bots swarm, of course, that we mentioned before. Now, while some units are killed in there and others do retreat, Hale pushes forward. He's like, hell no, and pushes forward to go find the Doctor, who experimented on him, yes, but did keep him alive and for at least a little longer. Dr. Malikov is found by Hale, of course, but Daedalus arrives and gives a speech to the characters on how the Crimea is an alien species much older than humans, and that they are further along in the evolution process. And everyone there is probably like, it just is evolution, we're good. Hale is then knocked out, but he does wake up to find Makarov left alive. Both of them, left alive by Daedalus, who didn't kill them yet again, who should have probably killed them. But why is that he left them alive? Well, you will see later. So they move on further into the base, and they find the oldest forms of Crimea in these giant test tubes, the original species. And these are the same ones that were being studied in Russia that started all of it back in the 40s. And these species aren't just a hybrid. They are 100% Crimean DNA. Now, this is where we get into the backstory here. Makarov says that the Daedalus left them alive as punishment to make his creator witness the Crimean victory. What? Malikov admits that he took DNA from the Ojiri Crimeans and infused it into 2 human subjects. Oh, wonder who that is. The first one was Private Jordan Shepard, a.k.a. Daedalus. And the second one, well, while he does say you know who the second one is, a.k.a. hinting, Hale, you're the second test subject. Hale and a Doc are trying to escape after this, but they are actually swarmed by the giant piranha drones, but they lure them to a generator and realize electricity is going to be able to be the weapon against them here and do shock them to death. Thank God, because those things piranhas were killing a lot of people. Now, there is a tower that has been arisen through here in this base as well. And the doc tells Hale that the tower is millions of years old, and it's going to be activated by Daedalus to open a portal. Because, of course, why not? It's millions of years old. Clearly, the Crimea were here doing something long ago. And Daedalus is like, I'm here to finish their work, fuckers. And decides to open the portal up. And just be like, why not? And who knows where this portal goes? You find out in Resistance 3, for sure. But they do meet with the team that is still alive. And know that there are many more towers that have appeared across the world. Now, this team actually does not trust the survivors here. Do not trust Hale, because Hale clearly shown signs of infection and everything going on. And the government's been made aware of him. They don't trust him, as anybody would, because he doesn't have any inhibitors in him anymore. Now, there is a character named Capelli who is very specifically angry at this and threatens to kill Hale if he turns, which he does at any point Hale has any anger, stress, or anything. Capelli will pull a gun on you and start ready to shoot your ass real quick. Now, they do fly a little bit further in, and they go to a destroyed Chicago. Again, I told you, in my home city, I live further outside in suburbs, but my home city, Chicago, wrecked by the Crimea, which is fantastic. But they have destroyed the U.S. very quickly here. But they fly to destroy Chicago for a tower here because it's the closest one. Hale and the squad fight through Crimean armies until a kaiju-sized one appears, which weapons have no effect. There are standard weapons that have no effect on this thing. This thing has got to be at least 12 stories tall. It is massive running through it, which you realize, well, that's why the troops lost in Chicago. Now, during this whole battle, once Hale is grabbed into the hands of this thing, he is able to shoot rockets in its mouth, damaging it, and then using a sky bridge, which in case you don't know, and Chicago doesn't really have these, is a concrete kind of bridge thing between two skyscrapers. Once that giant kaiju is injured and goes underneath it, he shoots that sky bridge that collapses on that giant Crimea and crushes it. Now, they do eventually make it back, or they make it to the tower, and while they try to disarm it before it was activated, they fail, and it's actually activated, and they learn Daedalus actually activated it remotely back in Iceland. That's right. All the way back in Iceland, where this game originally started, Daedalus is back there saying, and flipping him off with one tentacle. Now, what do we have to do? Well, Hale and a team, who is, by the way, getting very much more infected with Hale, they make their way back to Iceland, back where we started in the very beginning. A team does make it to the tower and fights swarms of Crimea into them, and Daedalus kills Hawthorne on the team, and that does separate the team all in different directions. Now, what happens after that? Well, Daedalus appears and says, F you, Hale. You're trying to mess with the plan here. And we're Evolution, and uses his tentacles and stabs Hale with them, because, of course, why not? Now, we actually time jump yet again. This time only a couple of weeks. So, Hale somehow does awake. He somehow survived the stabbing with the tentacles in Iceland. But then he awakes in Louisiana. The world traveling in this game is insanity. And he's awakened next to the Doc Malikov, who has been caring for him. Now, 6 weeks have passed since that Iceland incident. And during this time, Hale looks more Crimea, with his skin changing, his eyes getting more yellow, anger showing. It's not looking good for the boy. Now, Capelli, the son of a bitch who always points a gun at us, has survived. They find Hale. Malikov kept Hale in a coma to try and find a cure, though, during this whole thing in Iceland. And then in Louisiana to try to find a cure for the virus, but couldn't. And after Hale wakes, he is made aware he has 3 hours left of humanity. What do you do with that? Do you make love? Do you jack off? What do you do? It's the whole thing. Capelli says the ships rolled over America and just basically took over with ease. Which, I mean, at this point, yeah, they rolled over Europe with nothing. And then they had all that time to build up ships, armies, new units. They had all of that time. And actually were able to dig up more towers from the ground and actually went south towards South America, Mexico area. And we are made aware by Capelli that the survivors in the U.S. are running out of supplies, which, yeah, that makes sense, because where are you going to get supplies in the Crimean invasion? Now the new team, though, the soldiers that are joining them as well, with Hale and Malikov and, of course, Capelli, they are moving fast, move out, and they actually find a fusion bomb, which is very lucky, and move it to a Crimean shuttle that they yet again confiscated, which is showing what's going on. Crimea doesn't give a fuck anymore. They are saying, we won. Why are we going to care? And, of course, we know there is a main command ship in Mexico at this point because we were told they were moving down south. So the idea is to use the fusion bomb, fly the shuttle, and into the main ship and blow it up. Because this worked very good before. During this, though, Daedalus does contact Hale, and Hale falls on the ground screaming in pain. And Capelli, of course, pulls out a pistol and is ready to shoot. Zero shits given in an executional style. But the team does actually, the rest of the team members do grab Capelli and say, he's fine. He would have started killing us if he wasn't. So they grab Capelli and just, pull him back. Now, the team does, with that shuttle and that bomb, do infiltrate the main ship and try to take the bomb to the main reactor. So that way we get the biggest explosion possible. Now, of course, we're in the main command ship here. The teams are overrun by Crimean troops, but during this time, Hale then tries to take back the bomb, who the Crimean troops did take from the humans, because they were just overwhelming them and swarming to kill them, took the bomb from them. But in the meantime, Hale is actually attacked by Daedalus, and both of them do attack and have a big battle. Now, how does Hale take down this giant hentai monster? Well, he uses electricity from a local reactor to take him down, as one does. Hale touches Daedalus, and of course, because you want to touch to make sure the body's dead, he touches him, and with that, out from Daedalus is a huge amount of energy in some weird D&D magic thing, and he is hit with this huge-ass energy wave. And he wakes, and he's like, oh, God, that was weird. But then Hale takes the bomb to the spot and is attacked by Crimea. But during this, he actually realizes he has a new power where he can look at them, point a finger, and they blow up in red mist. What? He has the power to just blow up Crimea now just by looking at him. He has become their god. Hale then blows up the ship, and then with that explosion of the main ship, though, with that fusion bomb, it actually makes the other ships surrounding all the support stuff explode in fiery passion and probably taking our ground troops as well. Hale and Capelli were able to escape in a shuttle, though, before the explosion, right before. But that explosion did knock their asses down, so they do crash yet again. Now we transfer to Capelli. Capelli awakes, and he looks up in the sky to see planets and moons he does not recognize in his sky. And he looks and sees Hale down below in front of him here, past a little bit of the destruction of the flight, and he walks up to them, and he sees that he is no longer human. That's right. Hale, who we played from the first game, and they were playing throughout his whole time here, has finally turned into a Crimea. A Crimea god, probably. He's gone. He's just gone. And Capelli's got to be hurt by this. He tried so hard. Yes, he wanted to kill him, but I feel like he didn't in the end. Hale says to Capelli that they are coming and that this is just the beginning. And how do we end the game? Well, in a classic mid-2000s style, Capelli then shoots Hale in the head, and the game the game ends right after that. What the fuck? That, but, man, everybody, that is Resistance 2. A holy hell of an adventure that shows the Crimea are a huge, huge threat. By the way, also shows you should make a Resistance movie because it would sell gangbusters. Resistance 1, fantastic. Resistance 2, America. It's just, and Resistance 3, surviving with new characters. It'd be so good. So good. But if you did enjoy this little recap of the lore of Resistance 2, make sure to leave a like on the video or subscribe wherever you're listening to the Lorepod podcast. Whether it's YouTube, Apple Podcasts, lorepod.podbean.com, wherever you're listening, subscribe for new episodes every Monday, everybody, for all the lore, character stories, all that and much more here on the channel. I've been your host, Dakota Morgan. My Twitch, CodaRex97, YouTube, Dakota Morgan. X is at Dakota Morgan 3, and Instagram at Dakota_Morgan97. And you should look up Dakota Morgan on TikTok because we are on TikTok as well. And we have a whole lot going on there. And all these links are going to be in the description box down below. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And, of course, as always, stay creative, everyone.